And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And the mic just fell apart here, so this should be interesting for the rest of the show.
Dean, you have any idea how much those dumb things cost?
Man, I mean, this thing just totally fell apart here.
He's completely snapped the mic on.
Jay's going to be very happy about this.
Right off.
Man. All right. Well, it's going to be an interesting show.
We're going to hold it like the old days.
Right? No doubt. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. Bridgette, hopefully...
What are you doing over there? Put that back.
Look at
what are you doing?
Yeah, right?
Stop it.
How did it fall apart? Is there like a bolt that came out? What did you do?
Were you doing pull-ups on it?
Boy, I don't know how it fell apart.
I have plant pathologists, not ag engineers, coming in today. There's only so many ways we can fix this.
JT, we know you can hear us. Come fix this.
Yeah, right. he'll fix it during break. Oh, but I'll blame it on the weather. We've had some rain overnight last night. In fact, we picked up anywhere between about a half inch to an inch along the and south of the 94 corridor. A little bit less to the north, Grand Forks 1700s. Pearly picking up about 0.2 of an inch, even heavier amounts down into southern lakes country. Now, for the rest of today, it looks like a pretty decent day. This will be the coolest day that we see over the next week or so, with highs today in the upper 70s under partly cloudy skies and a northeast wind about 5 to 15. Clear skies overnight tonight. Will bottom out in the mid to upper 50s, so nice weather to kind of open the windows, get some free air conditioning from Mother Nature, because you're going to be adding to that electric bill over the next week here. We'll start warming things up tomorrow, mid-80s, and right around the low 90s on Friday. Slight chance of an isolated storm Friday night. And then low 90s on Saturday, and dangerous heat comes in for Sunday and Monday, with highs in the upper 90s to near 100, and heat index readings Sunday and Monday will be easily 110, if not a little bit higher. Now, our models are in a little disagreement about next week. One of our models trying to bring in some cooler air, and by cooler I'm talking low 80s by the middle and end of next week, but our other models are keeping it hot all the way through next week. So let's err on it's going to be hot through most of next week with temperatures into the 90s. So you know what? It's climatologically, this is our hottest time of the year. This isn't anything we haven't seen before, but still, take it slow, plenty of water, the whole thing if you're out and about.
Well, I think most of us are pretty familiar with that. It's great haying season. What a day. You'll get lots done that afternoon. But just remember also your livestock, right? So when I get calls, people saying, well, hold on a second. We've got critters outside. What do we need to do differently? Well, you all know that giving them plenty of water is going to matter. They're probably not going to eat as much feed. I mean, good Lord, when it's 107 degrees, I'm a little low on feed myself. Now, additionally, shade. And Addison even said this year he noticed for the first time the big patio shades out in pastures and feedlots where cattle can gather underneath to get some shade. Some places have trees, whatever the case might be. They kind of know how to take care of themselves, but just make sure they have lots of water.
Yeah, no doubt. And how much? I mean, if we see a week of this, Bridgette, we've seen some rain recently. What will this do to the crops? I mean, it's a week of it. Is it going to do that much damage, or it depends?
Depends who had how much rainfall, right? Because there's some areas like where I'm at, we didn't get that much rain last night, and we were already seeing corn leaves rolling up on Tuesday. Now, our guest today will be plant pathologist from NDSU, Dr. Sam Markel and Dr. Andrew Friskup. When we get to talking with them, this is going to be a big part of the discussion. What weather is impacting us when it comes to white mold in soybeans, dry beans, or sunflowers? Let's talk about tar spot in corn and some of those other disease problems that we see and how that's being influenced by the wet and or dry weather, depending on where you're at. That'll be a great part of our conversation. Now, because we have two experts, this is a great time for you who are listening to give us calls. You can do that on the JLA Insurance phone line. That number is 701-293-9000. You will also be able to send emails, ag@flagfamily.com or weather@flagfamily.com. And of course, check out the Lighthouse Commodities live stream brought to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Acres TV. So there's great ways to tune in and be a part of the show today. Also, it is Wednesday. What does that mean? All together now.
Wednesday weather trivia.
trivia. So we'll be doing that for a Darter Plastics Bait Up, your own personal bait cup for later today. Before we get too far in, I have a story that I knew, Dean, was right up your alley. It's about some guys in Colorado who stole the rain from the Weather Service.
What? Okay. Can't wait
Now,
to hear
that's
this
not
one.
That's not a cliffhanger. I don't know what is.
Right.
Okay. So let's do a little background. First of all, this was taking place in Colorado and Kansas back in 2016, 2017. There is actually a part of our federal crop insurance. It's under Risk Management Agency, under RMA. They're the overseer of all the crop insurance. They were seeing some numbers beyond historic averages in the high plains of crop insurance payout, and they were really pinging off the charts, especially in Baca County. How was this happening? So multiple producers, and it really came down to two guys. They were abusing the Federal Rainfall Index Annual Forage Insurance Plan. Good God, what a title. That's definitely something governmental. But nonetheless, the program is based on rain amounts, not your crop performance. So producers pick a 2-month period, pay for their insurance, and receive payments if precipitation falls below normal historic levels. And they can do this on multiple 2-month slots. So there were two Colorado producers who managed to get about $8.5 million from this annual forage insurance plan because of suspicious range gauge readings. You and I both know the National Weather Service has roughly 900 monitoring sites across the U.S. A lot of them are found at airports. Some are kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You might be finding them on rural roads.
Oh, no.
Or kind of in the back alleys, you might say. So a couple of guys knew about this. And so they're in jail now. Their names are Patrick Esch and Ed Jaggers.
Ed Jaggers? I went to school. Oh, no, never mind. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Well, send him a card, care of Supermax in Colorado.
Right.
Okay, so these two guys, they realized that they could literally be swiping insurance money. I would like to preface all of this by saying that, generally speaking, farmers do a great job. Fraud happens in every industry. I hate to say it, but these two pulled it off when it came to crop insurance. What they were doing, because the Weather Service could see radar data that showed storms moving over southwest Colorado. They're getting hourly data. And they also happen to know that if they have weather observers calling and saying that things are moving slowly, they might get a couple inches. If things are moving fast, they might only get a few hundredths of rain. But nothing was being reported at the weather station. Why? These two guys, along with one of their sons and one of their hired men, were cutting the wires. They punched holes in the brass collection bowls for the rain. They took silicone and closed up the funnels that were supposed to be bringing in the rain. And they would put things over the top of the gauges, like disc blades or even a cake pan. And so this went on for months, and they were cashing in on the crop insurance. Basically, they called it a loophole, but the reality was they were just stealing. They were manipulating the weather.
Wow. Now, what year, how long ago was this, Bridgette?
2016 to 2017.
Okay, because I think a lot of these now, even the rural ones now, and I could be mistaken, but I think a lot of them have cameras on them now, and maybe this is why.
I think they probably do, and this likely stems from it.
Yeah.
You know, let's face it. 10 years ago, we had game cams, but cameras on those types of sites are a lot more prevalent now. Even NDON, our North Dakota Ag Weather Network, we have cameras at a lot of those sites, and so you can see, especially like blizzards in the winter, and see what's happening for storm development. But this was happening at a time where those sites weren't always being as closely monitored. And here you have a couple of guys who literally stole the rain. And what it did is it has changed weather data in that area. So now they really don't have accurate historical records because none of it was being recorded.
Wow. Boy, I wonder how long it took them to cook up that plan.
Probably not as long as you think. I bet it took longer to catch them.
Yeah, right. Wow. Well, hey, that'll teach you. Don't mess around with the government or insurance companies. They'll catch you one way or the other.
And they got a little greedy. In fact, the hired man, he wound up dead out of all of this. So I would have to say that there were some things going on that people didn't necessarily realize how bad it was. There it is. So, all right, that's just one thing to talk about today. We certainly have more. We'll have Wednesday weather trivia coming up, but also our guest today from NDSU. Let's talk plant diseases, and we will do that with Dr. Sam Markell and Dr. Andrew Friskup from NDSU. One of the ways you need to secure your farm is by getting rid of the things you don't need, and that certainly can be unusable pesticides. North Dakota has a Project Safe Send. Today, Wednesday, July 8th, was Jamestown. Tomorrow, you're going to have to drive to Bismarck. The North Dakota DOT sites will be accepting your unusable pesticides from 8 a.m. to noon. And again, no gasoline, no kerosene, no fertilizers, no paint, but you can take things that you've had that you used in the garden, in the field, maybe you're cleaning out the warehouse. If you're curious what you can or can't bring, you can give a call to the Department of Ag or check out their Project Safe Sun website at ndda.nd.gov. And Minnesota is doing the same. That'll be on July 16th next week, where you can go to Ulen, to the CHS Ag Services location. You can do the same thing there if you're a Minnesota resident. And again, this is open to not only farmers, ranchers, retailers, as well as your own household. Okay, we talk about weather. Today we're going to talk about the weather impacts on farming because of disease. And so we are joined by two gentlemen from NDSU today. I'm going to ask Dr. Markel to go ahead and introduce himself first so people hear his voice.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. So I'm an extension plant pathologist. I work on diseases of broadleaf crops. So dry beans, sunflowers, canola, things like that.
Oh, so many questions, so many questions. Okay, and it sounds like Dr. Andrew Friskup is in an even better location. Addison said, I don't know where he is, but he has the best background of anybody today.
Hey, Martin. Good afternoon, Bridgette. Yeah, I'm just outside of Hebron, North Dakota, on my way to Hettinger. But my day job right now is I'm also an extension plant pathologist, and my responsibilities are all the cereal crops: wheat, barley, oats, and corn and rye.
Including corn. Okay, funny you say that because there's a lot of folks who are like, aren't we going to put corn with the broadleaves crops? No, we're not. And all right, Mr. Pathologist, why? Why aren't we going to put that with broadleaf crops?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we think about pathogens and diseases, they're very host specific, and a lot of times we like to align those with the same, monocots versus dicots. And although there's going to be differences, not all diseases of wheat are going to impact corn, but they sometimes can share the same type of, pathogen and host material. So it's something that, it does kind of get confusion at NDSU. We have extension pathologists for every crop in the state of North Dakota, and we all take a lot of pride in which ones that we're covering.
And there is a lot to talk about because in North Dakota we have such crop diversity. We keep you all hopping. I mean, there's probably a lot going on in your regular day.
It's a great place to be a pathologist. It really is.
I was going to kind of giggle about that because you don't have a dull moment. Summer, winter, any of the above, right, Sam?
No, we keep hopping year round. So we start our research projects at any time of the year. We've got a world-class greenhouse facility on campus. We've got lots of labs. We can replicate to some degree what happens in the field in those environments. And then, of course, once we get into the field season, everything goes really, really quickly.
And your research changes every year, or are you on some long-term projects?
It's a mix of both. So one of the things that we really have to do consistently, and we take great pride in, is being responsive to what changes in the environment. So no 2 years are the same. A really hot year, a really wet year are going to be very, very different than a cold, dry year, right? But we have long-term projects to get information to the farmers that need it. So sometimes you need multiple environments, multiple years to really figure out what the best management tool is or whatever recommendation we need to adjust to help producers protect their crops.
And I don't know what's more exciting, being a meteorologist working up here or being a pathologist working up here, because we all have our hands full with the crazy weather that we get. And speaking about crazy weather, so every summer we get our heat waves. And this one coming up, and it depends how long it'll last, but we're getting some indications this could last a good week or more of extended mid-upper 90s, heat index readings about 105 to 110 for a week straight. If that does pan out like this, what crop is going to suffer the most from this? Does it matter how much moisture they've had recently, or does that not matter? What are we looking at?
Yeah, that's a big question, especially because we have so many crops.
Right.
Some of the crops that we grow that are really accustomed to maybe the southern U.S. are probably they're going to be a little bit better off, I would say.
Okay.
But some of the crops that are more commonly grown in Canada, they might struggle a little bit more. I'm a little bit nervous about field peas and canola and things like that. The really high heat can cause some issues with them. I'm not saying that it's going to kill the crop or anything,
right.
But they're not going to like it as much as maybe one of the southern crops,
okay.
or quote southern crops. Andrew might have a different opinion on that, but that's kind of how I'd look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I always like starting that with, it depends, right? The classic scientific answer. But it truly is. It's, we not only have a variety of crops, we have planting dates all over the board. Often they're going to be at different stages of development. So Yeah, like right now, I mean, the high heat is definitely can put an impact on those cool season crops, but some of them might be on that window too. So it's just something to be mindful of. But I think right now all my corn growers are just gonna love some heat to try to get some of those growing degree days units back up to where we need to be. So it's like in my job, I can see the pros and cons, right? Just because not every condition is going to be valuable for one crop, and it might favor one. And right now, that's this high heat thing is going to damper maybe some of the small grain acres, but it's probably going to help some of the corn acres at the same time.
I have questions that we're going to get to in today's discussion in regards to tar spot, fusarium head blight, white mold, sclerotinia, and what bugs are vectors for disease in the crop as well. But first of all, what are the questions that each of you are currently getting from your farmers? What are their concerns? And I'll ask Andrew to answer that first.
Bridget, I'm right in the middle of scab season. It's anything from what to spray, when to spray, what is my scab risk, or fusarium head blight risk. And that season started about 2 weeks ago, and we're kind of what I call at the peak of the roller coaster, when I think most of the crops are in that heading into flowering stages of development, and it's probably going to extend for another 2 weeks. And I've been having what I almost feel like the same conversation multiple times a day, but everyone's very important, from looking at a spray decision on 40 acres or 640 acres. It's always kind of keeps you on your toes. And of course, I'm at this point in my career where a lot of the easy questions are no longer asked. It's more the harder questions of return on investment, and when is the best time if I have 6 different heading dates in the field, and some of those what I call real problems that research takes us definitely in the right direction to answering some of that. But at the same time, we learn each year through conversations, and I feel like I've had the ability and the opportunity to develop a lot of partnerships to get some of those on-farm reports and those stories and testimonials of what works. And that's right now, it's just scab season. As soon as the phone rings, I can almost anticipate it's going to be 1 or 4 questions at this point.
Sam, what do you think?
In the last 2 weeks, I think the biggest series of questions I've got have been related to growers who have had some pretty significant hail. Not enough to kill the crop, but to wound the plants. And in some of the crops, like bacteria blight in dry beans, it needs hail to get going, really, and that really kicks it along. And so there's been some current concern about that. In the last 3 to 4 days, that conversation's shifted almost completely to white mold. So it's white mold season as well. A lot of crops get white mold. The broadleaf crops will get white mold. They're sensitive to it. And if growers are going to do something, they need to do it proactively in advance. So really, it's been that bacteria stuff with the hail, and then now the white mold has started.
And Sam, we got an email question from one of our viewers asking, what's the difference between white mold and sclerotina?
Yeah, it's a great question. So actually, they're the same thing. So sclerotinia is the name of the pathogen. Okay, so it'd be like the name of a human virus or Ebola or something. Mm-hmm. White mold is the name of the disease it causes. So it's just the name of the pathogen or the name of the disease. Okay. So it's a great question, and that's what it is.
Well, there's more great questions to come, and don't forget that anyone listening is able to give us a call. That number is 701-293-9000. That is the JLA Insurance phone line. We will return with our plant pathologist discussion from NDSU. All the diseases all day long. We'll talk about those next. Our discussion today is all about protecting your crop from disease and, if it happens, what you do next. The same can be said for your cybersecurity. Go see techsupport.farm and make sure that you've done their fence check assessment to see what needs may need to be handled for your cybersecurity at your farm or agribusiness. And if you happen to be at the Ag PhD Field Day at the end of July in Baltic, South Dakota, you'll see Chris Sherman there and you can talk to him in person. Speaking of in person, we are joined today by Dr. Sam Markel and Dr. Andrew Frisco, both of NDSU. They are working with us as plant pathologists on all sorts of disease concerns that might be coming along in the region. First one that I want to bring up, and this is going to be for Andrew, tar spot. I saw a headline this morning, tar spot confirmed in at least 9 states. It might be a number more. Is that a problem with southerly winds? Are we going to see tar spot in North Dakota? Have we confirmed it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Right now with tar spot, we first identified it in the state two growing seasons ago. And it's one of those diseases, once you have it, it's likely to stay. Last year during our late season corn disease survey that we worked with the North Dakota Corn Utilization Council with, we were able to confirm it again. And the last time I found it in 10 counties. But the one thing that kind of concerned me last year is we have at least 2 or maybe 3 cases where it was successful in overwintering, and it resulted in what I call little hot pockets of higher levels of tar spot within a field. Not something that you might not see in the yield monitor, but anytime you deal with a new disease and the new pathogen, it takes a few years just for it to become accustomed to North Dakota. And then that's something that we have to keep scouting for. So my messaging right now is it's possible that we might see tar spot very soon. But as far as if we're going to need a fungicide, that's going to take a little bit more conversation and involves anything from the environment you have, maybe even if you know the susceptibility of a hybrid, all those factors. So yes, we do have tar spot in North Dakota. Going to be scouting corn here probably after the field day circuit and just to see if it's decided to rear its ugly head again yet this year.
And you make a great point when you said we have to have some discussions about whether or not to fungicide. This region is not known for its corn fungiciding business. We don't do a lot of it, but that may need to become a planned practice for many of us, especially in those confirmed counties. And do you have a recommendation on scouting? Because you have a lot of folks out right now that maybe don't know what they're looking for except for tiny black dots on the leaf.
Yeah, tiny black dots on the leaf. Yeah, it can describe a lot of things, right? So identification is important. Right now, the best thing to do if you're finally getting out to your cornfields again, and I would say probably target some of the earliest planted corn where you have more canopy closure, more humidity in the lower canopy. Look on the lower leaves. That's usually when you get those first infections to start. Like you said, we're looking for tiny black dots. There's a couple things that'll separate it from insect frass or even mud, right? And one of the easiest ways to see if you see a black dot on a leaf, on a corn leaf, this kind of might sound kind of gross, but often the first thing I do is I'll spit on the leaf and then start rubbing it off my fingers to see if that dot comes off. Because the black dot comes off, you don't have tar spot. You either have something like dropped off by an insect or you have mud. The other thing that I often see with tar spot is it's really fully embedded in the leaf. And so you're not able to, agitate that off the leaf. And you might even see some yellowing and whitening around the lesion itself. And don't think you're going to see a ton of tar spot right away. It might be one single lesion. And each time it cycles, it takes 18 to 21 days for those new infections to form a new lesion. So right now, I would say that we've had enough weather to start a tar spot epidemic, so to speak. But we just don't have enough inoculum in the state. And this year, scouting is going to be our biggest friend because it's going to give us an idea of how much is out there and if it's going to start developing quickly again.
Some of the tests are just the simplest. Spit on that leaf. Does it come off or not? That's our determination.
Yeah, I just got a photo today from a graduate student, and he said, "Is this tar spot?" I said, "Spit on the leaf." He's like, "Never mind, it came off." I'm like, "Keep looking."
Okay, people laugh like these things happen, but I cannot begin to tell you how many Snapchats or videos I get from people with a phone out the window at 60 miles an hour saying, "What do you think's wrong with that field?" I don't know. I'm going to need some detail here. So I get it. So for you, Sam, you mentioned earlier your conversations have really turned to white mold. That's in a lot of crop. I mean, I think you could probably give us a pretty long list. And I bet since all that rain happened in the Devil's Lake Basin, that's a hot spot of calls for you.
Yeah, we have. I mean, basically, soybean, dry bean, canola, sunflower. The list kind of goes on and on. Those crops can be susceptible to white mold. So the interesting thing is that the crops only really become susceptible once they start to bloom. So the white mold pathogen, that one that's called Sclerotinia, actually starts the infection on the blooms. It digests the blooms, little flowers, and then it grows into the healthy green tissue. So we don't really worry about white mold until bloom. And then when it's blooming, all that weather really makes a difference. So if the ground is wet, everything's primed, you keep getting these storms like you just mentioned, Devil's Lake Basin, that's when this thing really can cause a lot of problems. And yes, that's really been a thing. We have multiple risk maps that are largely based on how the pathogen and the weather factors come together, and they're all lighting up, especially in the northern half of the state. And after the rain in the last couple of days, I expect the southern half of the state will also be lit up. So pretty much any of those plants that are in bloom right now are going to be at least moderate, maybe high risk for infection.
Are we too late to treat? Or do we need to go right now?
Well, it depends. So it depends.
I love that you guys start everything with that.
Yeah. So it depends a little bit on the crop. And so canola blooms first usually. So we're getting to the point where if you're going to treat, you want to be on the front end of bloom. You want to hit it when, blooming is getting going, not at the end of bloom, because then the pathogen has had time to cause an infection. You can't stop it. You can only prevent it. So canola is well into bloom in most of the state. In some case, it's probably too late, maybe in the Southwest. For dry beans and soybeans, well, we're right on the front end. So now is the perfect time. And I would suggest that maybe a week from now, maybe it will even be better depending on where you're at in the state. So it's always about the bloom. And typically you want to get in the early half of bloom, depending on the crop you're in.
For these situations, is there a disease monitor that people should be looking at? I happen to get the NDSU Crop and Pest Report every week, so I'm paying attention to it there. But is there someplace else that people should be looking?
Yeah, the NDSU Crop and Pest Report is awesome. It comes out once a week, but we will actually put those models and those images right in there. So the next one that you're going to see tomorrow morning is going to have those updates. The northern canola growers will help host the Sclerotinia risk map of canola, right? And then there's several sites that will help host the other models, so the soybean models in particular. Crop Protection Network is one of them. But yeah, I think your best place to start is get in the Crop and Pest Report. You'll get all the direct links. You can bookmark them. You can go to any time you want. And they'll usually update by the day.
Sam, you had great comments earlier about hail damage, and there's certainly plenty of it in portions of the state. And so when you get those calls, do you use the adage of it's like a Band-Aid, just spray it on because it'll protect the plant, or is it usually a little more in-depth conversation with those calling looking for information, recommendations, etc.?
Yeah, it's usually almost always an in-depth conversation, actually, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but hail causes issues. And just for your listeners and everyone around the room, I could walk around and I could shake everyone's hand and I'm not going to get a staph infection. But if I have burns or cuts all over my hand, I might get sick, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly the same with plants. So it doesn't matter if it's your garden or if it's a crop. When you get hail, the healthy green tissues gets lacerated, gets cut, and bacteria loves that. So when we see hail, we always think bacteria first.
For good reason. Now, because it is North Dakota, and we are always known as the cereal state, I would be remiss if I didn't ask about Fusarium head blight. Are we up or down? Or maybe it doesn't even matter because we're down on wheat acres. Any thoughts there, Andrew?
Yeah, I would say I could speak to scabrisk right now, and it's definitely higher than I've seen in probably the last 3 to 4 years. Some of the areas I'm most concerned about that have been lighting up red on the map, so to speak, is kind of northwest North Dakota, which is unfortunately in the kind of the heart of Durham country, which is one of our most susceptible small grains we have. And that band or that region of scabrisk kind of runs all along the Canadian border, and another pocket developing along the James River Valley. So I mean, it's up. Humidity, long dew points are carrying this risk, and we talked about the weather and this hot streak coming here. That's actually going to lessen some of the scabrisk for some of the later planted crops, but it's something that I'm concerned about. And as you mentioned, conversations on fungicides is okay. I'm going to spray it, but $5.80, $6 Durham is this going to pay out, right? And that's the more complicated thing. We have all the right tools in place, but then you have to throw the economics into it, and it becomes a much more farm decision and comfortability and perception of what they want to do on how to manage their grain crop.
You guys, I just want you to tell me what to do. Just give me the advice. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I know, right? Like that's the phone calls that we all get is just tell me what to do. But it's never quite that simple. I understand where you're at.
It depends.
Now, it depends. So with the weather we've got some areas that are really wet in the state. We've had some areas that are hit the drought monitor. Usually drier times of year bring us more bugs, and they can be vectors for disease. Sam, are there some certain pests that you really keep an eye on that you understand are a vector of disease in crop?
Yeah, the insects they often change, and actually the ones I tend to think of the most actually are in wheat. Actually, there's a couple that the oat bird cherry aphid. Is that right, Andrew? Am I thinking of the right one? Maybe I've got that all screwed up, but. Yeah, so things like the aster leafhopper, for example, that shows up every now and then. I don't know that that's here right now, but when we do, we can get a disease called aster yellows. So one of the things with insects is that we've got some really good entomology folks at NDSU. They've got trapping networks across the state, and they really keep our eyes on the insects. And once they start to identify what's going on, we will then take into account those risks for the disease side of things.
And Andrew, how about you? Again, bird, let me make my attempt. Bird, cherry, oat aphid. I don't know if I got that in the right order.
You got an A in my book, but I'm a plant pathologist, Bridgette, so just remember that. But no, there are some vector concerns. Probably our most important vector for a pathogen in the state is the wheat curl mite. It can vector the virus called the wheat streak mosaic virus, which now is also can vector high plains virus and triticum mosaic virus. So it's called a virus complex, so to speak. That window of what I call extreme concern is often early in the season, and then fields of winter wheat or bordering winter wheat. And because we have a green bridge, and the mite likes to survive on winter wheat. And if you ever taken any type of plant pathology or heard some extensive messaging on breaking the green bridge, a lot of that's kind of directed at wheat streak mosaic. And this year we did have a couple tough fields of wheat streak mosaic, and not saying it was common everywhere, but it was definitely a situation where we weren't able to break the green bridge and did cause some issues. But like right now at this time of the season, we might get an aphid flush in small grains. You might see a plant or two of barley yellow dwarf, but I like to think of it as like you can outrace a few of these diseases. The further we are along, the more advanced, the more mature a small grain is, the less susceptible you're going to take a hit on yield. And viruses right now is one of those things, but becomes more important later on in the season when you maybe have some volunteer control.
We always want to remember that because both of you are part of the NDSU Extension Service here in the state of North Dakota, farmers will call you with their questions, asking for recommendations, ideas for research, and certainly if farmers want to be a cooperator and work with you on research, I think each one of you would welcome that opportunity with any of the farmers in the state.
Absolutely. Yes. And they can certainly reach out to the Department of Plant Pathology directly. I mean, you just Google it and find the number. Or we have a really good network of county extension agents. And so going right to the local county extension office is often the best way to find us, especially with questions like that.
And many of our extension specialists, including the both of you, will probably be on some of the research extension centers tours that are going on. I know that Andrew is currently on his way to Hettinger because that extension tour takes place tonight at 5 o'clock Mountain. Tomorrow, Dickinson. The 10th is Williston. Next week kicks off at the Agronomy Seed Farm in Castleton, followed by Carrington, and so many more. And those are available on NDSU's extension website. I'll see if I can't get this posted to our Facebook page as well. These are free for the public to attend to see what's going on as far as research, hotspots, questions, and you get to talk right there with the experts from NDSU. So, gentlemen, can't say thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to join us.
Thank you very much. It's great to see you both.
Thanks, guys. Well, when we come back, we're going to have our Wednesday weather trivia. So put your thinking caps on for your chance to win a Darter bait up plastic For fishing. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Your Darter Plastic Bait Up Cup. You have a chance to win that when we come back. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. It's time for Wednesday weather trivia. And this one might be a little tougher, but we'll see if we can get the answer. And this is for your chance to win a Darter Bait Up Cup for fishing. If you've never seen them before, it makes fishing so much easier. These Bait Up Cups are awesome. So for a chance to win that, 701-293-9000. If you can give me the correct answer to this weather trivia question. North Dakota has had snow in every month except
December.
701-293-9000.
Gosh, Addison, you beat me. I was
Can you
gonna
prove
say
me wrong?
Manitoba.
Can you prove me wrong?
North Dakota has received snow in every month except 701-293-9000 for your chance to win a Darter Bait Up plastic cup. So, all right, we've got a caller on line one. Caller, what's your name? What's your guess?
Jamie, is it July?
It is not Jamie. Good guess, though. We got caller two. Line two, what's your name? What's your guess?
It's Chris. Is it July?
Nope, that's what our previous caller said. Nope, it's not July. All right, we've got a caller on line three. Caller, what's your name? What's your guess?
It's Jamie again for my son Louie. He wanted to guess August.
It's not August. No. So again, North Dakota has received snow in every month except. All right, caller.
I don't know what.
What's your name? What's your guess? Caller?
June.
Yes. What's your guess?
June.
It's not June. No. I'll give you a hint. It's a trick question. Okay? It's a trick question. North Dakota has received snow in every month of the year except. Caller, what's your name? What's your guess?
I'm Steve. June?
Nope. Steve, it's not June. Nope. Okay. Up. We got time for one more call. 701-293-9000. All right, this will be the last guess. Caller, your name and your guess.
Name is Todd. I'm going to say none.
You got it, Todd. There's the trick question. It has snowed in every month of the year in North Dakota. Todd, we're going to put you on hold here, and Addison's going to get all your information. Congrats, Todd.
Thanks.
You bet. Yeah, it has snowed in every month of the year here in North Dakota. I figured it was July or August when I was putting this together, but yep, every month we've had some snow in some part of the state. So that'll do it for Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.